What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I am Sam Cardona, and thank you guys so much for listening. We are officially in season 3 of The Girl Who Talks Sports. Clap it up, everybody. This is so fun. So I basically, over the past 2 years, have decided that when football season ends is when the season ends and I start a new season. So now this is our first week in off-season football stories. Very exciting stuff. So that means season 2 is over and season 3 is beginning. So welcome to the off-season. This is going to be fun. There is a lot of stuff that has already happened. We are only a week into the off season, a little over a week. And of course, we have our off season guests on. Like we have never had an off season where we have had guests on because, you know, this past football season is where more and more people started coming on the show. So we had a very special guest on this week. Her name is Stephie Smalls. I'm sure many of you know her from Twitter. And she was on one of my extra content videos as well. I'll add it up above in a little info box. It was about the Giants season and so on. And I was really excited to have her on. We talked about her story and how she got involved in sports and how she's a medical student and all that stuff. And then we went into all these off-season football stories that we already had. So we had a lot to go over, and that interview will be coming up in just a couple of minutes. But obviously, before we do that, we have to do our plug. So guys, don't forget to subscribe and follow on all podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcast from. Please make sure that you subscribe and leave a review. Very important. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports, where we're going to be posting all of our podcasts as per usual and some extra content videos, which again, I'm very excited about. I think the off season provides a lot of time for some extra content videos. So we have a few lined up. You know, with COVID and everything going on, we're trying to figure out when we're going to film them. So make sure that you turn on your little notification button on YouTube to make sure that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And finally, don't forget to follow us on social media. Our @ is TGWTS Podcast on both Twitter and on Instagram. So make sure that you give us a follow on there. And friends, we have a little bit of an affiliate read today. Woohoo! So exciting. So I'm here to talk to you guys about Instacart. So imagine it was possible that your local and fresh groceries could be delivered to your front door. You would have so much more free time. You could listen to more of The Girl Who Talks Sports. You can watch more of our videos. You'd have all the time in the world. Instacart gives you an unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee, better than the other guys who nickel and dime you whenever you utilize their apps. So Instacart gives you just that one monthly fee. They can also deliver to your front door in as little as 1 hour. So that's extremely, extremely exciting. You won't have to wait that long. So you're not even tied down to one store. You can shop at multiple stores, find deals in your area to save some money, and shoppers hand select your items based on your preferences. And don't worry, all of those gently kept items like your eggs will be kept safe. So to start your 14-day free trial, click the link in the show notes on both the YouTube and the podcast. So Instacart knows that you were sent by The Girl Who Talks Sports, and it also helps support our show, which is very exciting. So Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store again. Very exciting stuff, friends. So without further ado, let's get into this interview with Stephie Smalls. All right, everyone. So we are joined today by Stephie Smalls, our first guest for our off-season episodes. You know, it's going to be a long off-season, but an exciting one. Stephie, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I love anything that is like girl run is my thing. I'm so pumped to chat it up with you.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to like kind of learn about your story and how you got into everything.
Sure.
But before we get into all that, I know you're a part of like a bunch of different things. I know you you're part of Join Our Circle, On Beat, Clapback Sports. So like, why don't you let everyone kind of know like all those different things that you're a part of?
Yeah, sure. So I started this crazy journey that I'm sure we'll get into with New York Giants Rush. They were the first ones to come to me. It's kind of where I know everyone knows Giants are my thing, and that's where my outlet came from. So I started over there at New York Giants Rush, and then found my way into Clapback. And then On Beat found me. So I do interviews with a bunch of beat writers all over the league, which is really fun. I'm excited to get back into those, especially with the off season. We tried to give all the beat writers a little bit of a break because it's nice to take it easy a little bit now that the season's done. And then Fantasy Intervention, and that's right now I co-own that. It's a new journey. It's been very, very fun. I just started my own Patreon so that I can get my Giants fix this off season.
Nice.
Yeah, so I needed a little bit more of a platform to be able to talk Giants because fantasy and football talk is a little bit different. They're not exactly the same. So a lot of my mind goes right to football talk and not as much fantasy. So I needed a platform to kind of get that fix out about just football talk.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you, and we're gonna get into some postseason stuff later because we're only a week into the off season, and so many things are already going down. So, but yeah, like I kind of want to hear how you got into all this because I've heard so many people's stories about how they ended up in sports and how they wanted to pursue it and that kind of thing. So I want to hear kind of like how you jumped into all this.
Yeah. For sure. Awesome. Also, I have to say, I love the setup that you have. I'm like working, I'm redoing my office right now and I'm trying to like think of how I want to set it up, but your office always makes me so happy whenever I see your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, my story is a little bit weird. It's not your normal, I didn't have intentions of getting into sports. Sports have always been near and dear to my heart, especially football, especially Giants football. So I was bored during quarantine. I reactivated my Twitter after coming home. I'm a med student in the Caribbean. So I came home, wasn't expecting it, needed something to do almost like most of us did when quarantine started. And so I just was tweeting my normal things. And I think that things started getting a little bit of attention. And that's kind of how everything got started. And then I started linking up with people, networking is the biggest thing in this industry. And now it's become a huge part of my life. I mean, I love it. I love every bit of being a part of this crazy Twitter world, and opportunities keep coming. So I'm going to take them and manage what I can because I love football. And it's nice. I mean, I'm sure it's not easy being a female in sports. It's not, I grew up, I didn't have many friends that liked football. I got into football because of my mother. So that was, I have that tie with my mom and my family. And, Sundays were kind of spaghetti and meatballs and everyone shuts up and sits on the couch and, watches football. And it's when you guys can all get along. So I hold that with my family. That's kind of like one of our links to each other, especially I have a younger brother, he's 6 years younger. So that was always something that actually we could connect on because for a while I felt like we were coexisting. I mean, he's a lot younger. So that's something that we had together too. So it was always something that's very near and dear to my heart. But yeah, so it's been an interesting ride getting caught up in this sports world, but I didn't have friends growing up that liked sports, and I kind of kept it to myself, and it was me and my family that would do sports. And so it's nice now that I have this outlet that I can just be passionate about football the way that I want to be passionate about football. So, and everyone's been great. It's definitely an interesting ride, but I am enjoying myself.
And I think that's what matters is as long as you're enjoying yourself.
Exactly.
I definitely feel that because like that was same thing with me growing up. I went to an all-girls school and there was not that many girls that liked sports that much. So it was kind of fun to have something to like be like, look at all this crazy stuff that's happening. And people were like, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And I would be so excited and I like want to talk to someone about it. And it's like, okay, I'll talk to my brother. It's fine.
Yeah, like a lot of people are just like, oh, that's really cool. And like they don't really feel like that. But
yeah, exactly. But I get that you don't get it. But I'm like, So can we talk about football now? Yeah. Like at a sleepover, like, have you guys been watching football?
Yeah, are you guys into like, like who's your favorite team?
See Plaxico Burress? And everyone's like, please shut up.
You guys hear that Plaxico shot himself in the foot? Did you hear about
himself? And they're like, who is Plaxico?
Yeah, no.
I'm like, I don't know who Cameron Diaz is. We have to talk about Plaxico.
No, I totally feel you. I'm interested how, like, so are you like in med school right now? Like,
yeah.
Online?
So it's overwhelming and it's a lot. And this is why I don't sleep. This is why everyone tells me you need to get more sleep. But, I'm passionate. I think that I'm going to let these opportunities come. And if something comes of it, then we'll cross that road when we get there. But I'm going to keep grinding as I have been doing, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, how long have you been in med school at this point?
So I'm doing a 5-year MD. So I started in 2000. I've only been in this is my second year now. So getting another bachelor's with it. And I had to, so I got my bachelor's in speech language hearing science at U of A, and I started grad school. I was really unhappy. I've always been someone that I think that we get one life, right? So it's very important to make sure that you take advantage of that, because it's only one. That's it. So I understand, and I was raised to not be a quitter, and so dropping out of grad school was very hard for me. It was something that I struggled with a lot, because to me, I grew up, it's like, you don't quit things. My parents always, you finish the season, and then if you don't like the team, then we quit afterwards. So that, so it's like, I grew up with that this is like this old school hard mentality with the way that my parents raised me. So that was a really hard decision for me. And then I came home, and, I struggled with what I wanted to do. I was a emergency room scribe for a really long time, did pretty well doing that, and was chief scribe for a while, was going to go to PA school, was back and forth. I have a very big medical and military family. So I always really knew that I wanted to do something in medicine. As many people know, I'm very outspoken. I don't do well without authority. So I knew that I maybe needed to be in a role that was a little bit bigger than something that was just a PA or just a nurse, who I obviously admire those professions immensely. And it's nothing against it. It's just my personality doesn't do well in a scenario like that. So I went to start applying to PA school. I was working full time, and I'm like trying to get these prereqs in. Then I go to apply, and they're like, your English credits are expiring. And I was like,
oh no.
Listen, I'm 25 years old. I'm not taking English 101 again. I promise you. There is nothing you can do to get me to go sit in a class of 17-year-olds again. So I had to come up with a plan, and I went to, this is such a random story, but there's so many women that like have impacted my life. And one of them was my primary care doctor when I was living in Jersey City. I had an appointment one day after I found out that I was going to have to take all these classes over again. And she's like, your happiness has to come from, you have to be able to be okay just by yourself. What is going to make you happy, period. And she actually went to school in the Caribbean, and she kind of encouraged me. She's like, I think that you could definitely do well you could go down there and you could go to med school. There's no reason not. So I applied that next day, and I like got I'm a very proactive person once I know what I want. Other than that, it's a little chaotic. My life is a little chaotic, but yeah. So once I decided I was going to apply, I applied, and it was like 2 months later, I got accepted, and that was it. I moved to Antigua, and I was down there for a year, and then COVID. And so we came back. My roommate's sitting across from me right now. We have our desks like looking at each other. But yeah, so she ended up joining me in the United States. And we are now doing school here.
Oh my God, that's crazy that you would be down in the Caribbean, of course.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I miss it. I miss the sun. It's too damn cold here, but
yeah, no, I totally feel you. There's way too much snow, and
it's like, how many times can you snow in 1 week? And we're getting more snow tomorrow. Like,
Oh
what
my
the
God.
hell is going on?
I can't deal with it anymore. I can't keep wiping stuff off of my car anymore.
Please, if I have to shovel one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. My back hurts.
I know. We're 25 years old. We got back pain now.
There's too much going on. Okay?
Over.
I'm only a few years from 30 here. All right, listen.
Oh my God. No, yeah, I totally feel you. But that's crazy. I didn't realize that you had gone all the way down to the Caribbean.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of stuff.
I miss it. I miss it so much. It's like, it's so surreal and I was kind of you get into a place in your life where I was a couple years out of school. I was just turning 26. And I mean, I didn't really know what I wanted. It was like my life plans didn't go the way they were supposed to. I'm supposed to not be a quitter. And I'm like,
yes.
Like, what do I do now? So I needed it. I mean, I think that was really refreshing, and to come back and then all of a sudden this is kind of how my life goes. It's just like, you can't really make it up. It's just kind of like, it just got to roll with the punches here. So what have I been doing? I mean, I try to be positive and sleep as much as I can. And that's all I can really do,
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, kind of bring it back to football because I know I love your jacket behind your.
Oh, I know,
it's beautiful. I love it so much.
I love all the vintage stuff. It's like my thing. I was a little tipsy last night and I ordered like way too much stuff.
I ordered something last night too that I totally did not need.
Yeah, but it's like I want it.
Yeah, I know. I got like a Fanatics like vintage sweatshirt, like crew neck sweatshirt with the old helmet on it and then all the Super Bowls on the sleeve. And I'm like, I don't need this.
It's so cute. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But anyway, so I kind of want to hear how you ended up, getting into the Giants, because I know me being from New York, there was always the split, are you a Jets fan or are you a Giants fan? And I kind of had, my decision of picking the Giants, but I want to hear how you ended up being a Giants fan.
Yeah, so I'm from Connecticut originally. It's where I am now. And I just was born and raised into a Giants family. It's the ordeal. My mom is the big Giants fan, actually. Mm-hmm. It's not my dad, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool. And yeah, so it was always in Connecticut where I am. So I'm like right on the New York border. So it's essentially New York. I mean, so really over here, I didn't know as many Jets fans. It was more Giants or Patriots. Those were kind of the two. So you were in between those. And then, you obviously always have those Cowboys fans that just like trickle in somehow. I don't know why they always pop up. Where are you from? Have you ever been to Texas? I don't understand. So yeah, so it was gonna be the Giants. I mean, it's weird. My family actually is torn between the Dolphins and the Giants. So yeah, it is weird. It's very interesting. I mean, the Dolphins were not great for many years, so it was not even a big deal. It was kind of like, you guys can't really say anything because you suck. But yeah. So, and I mean, growing up, too, is like seeing 2007, seeing the early 2000s, seeing 2011. Like, those are the years that, how can you not love this team? I mean, this is a team that is built off so much. It's an incredible organization. The fans are kind of a nightmare, but you know what? That's a whole nother story, a whole nother podcast. And yeah, I think that my mom is definitely the reason. And then of course that tie with my brother. It's hard to have a sibling that's much younger than you. I mean, he is 6 years younger than me. Now we're the best of friends, but growing up, I mean, we're talking, he was born, I was like already like a human. Right. So I'm already like a functioning human, and growing up, you're kind of coexisting. So it really is my tie. This is my tie with my family too. So it means a lot to me. And those are some of my best memories. I mean, I can remember distinctly exactly where I was, both of those Super Bowls. I mean, where I was when the Manningham catch happened, like those are like some of my best memories. And then even I tell people sometimes when this question gets asked is, in 2011, I was a freshman in college. So I was in Arizona. It's the West Coast. It's not the East Coast. There's not a lot of Giants fans. I mean, so I sat, I remember this so clearly. It's so funny to me is I sat in my dorm bed in my Eli Manning think that it's people that have that fandom and are able to like carry it out and just stick with it is like such a, you don't get that everywhere. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a special fandom to be a part of, for sure.
It is. It's an interesting one. It's very unique, but it is for sure.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the Giants. Like, I know that if anybody follows like my YouTube channel, Stephie was on another one of my videos where we talked all about the Giants and how the season was and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things going on right now. There's a lot of thoughts. You know, we just hired a new offensive line coach and all that stuff. So I kind of want to hear, you know, where do you think the Giants are going to be next year? Do you think that we're actually going to come out and be this great team everybody's talking about, or do you think that it's going to be kind of like a similar to this year?
Yeah. So, and it's funny, I'm releasing a Patreon article tonight, kind of on this, where I wrote a letter to the impatient, naggy Giants fans. So my thing is, you have to be thankful for the season that we had. I think that what people forget is there's a culture that comes with the New York Giants that you don't get across the league. I will applaud the Buffalo Bills this season. I will applaud the Miami Dolphins. I think these are some of the teams that were able to really restore the culture. You look at what's happening over in Houston. You look at what's happening in Philadelphia. The culture is destroyed there. And it's important that players, you want players to want to play on your team. So I think that some of the bigger wins this season, there's a few things that happened that are huge wins for us. 2019, we were the 30th worst defense in the league. We were ranked 9th by the end of the season. So, I mean, and you can ask anyone, how did we win 2007 and 2011? The defense. I mean, they were a powerhouse. This is, you win Super Bowls from a defense. Look what Tampa just did. I mean, you know, so the defense is it's sometimes underrated and sometimes bypassed a little bit. And the defense is so very important. And I think that what they were able to build there is something really special. And that's why I'm all for it. I think that they should pay whoever is there, keep them the same, leave it alone. It's a good thing. I think wins were, I mean, you have Blake Martinez tweeting, "I want to be a Giant for life." Guys, that's crazy. Do you know how cool that is? And I love it. That it's so hard for younger fans to understand that, but guys like Brandon Jacobs and Justin Tuck, like these guys were bought into the system. You need the system. And Joe Judge told us he doesn't care about the record. He came here to really fix the system, and the system was broken. You can argue it dates back to Plaque shooting himself, and I think OBJ, that trade really destroyed us for a very long time. And I think that, I mean, take Patrick Graham, for example. I mean, the fact that he was offered head coaching interviews, guys, head coaching interviews, and he turned them down. He didn't go to a single one. He signed an extension. And do you know what that means? That means that even the coaching staff is bought in. So you have to be excited. I mean, the team did, yes, we finished 6-10. Okay, I don't care. I mean, like, I thought that was probably around the range. Was I hoping for a 7? Yeah, of course I was. But I think that next season, if we get 7-8 wins, it's a trend, right? So we just got to trend up. That's it. Do I think that we have a very high ceiling to do very well? Absolutely. I think that the draft and free agency is very, very important. I think that that's gonna be kind of the deciding factor. But for people like Patrick Graham to want to stay, for Logan Ryan, who could have got paid, that Logan Ryan contract is a joke. I mean, that's a beautiful contract for us, but Logan Ryan could have went anywhere. I mean, you listen to these guys, Jabril Peppers, Tomlinson offered to take a pay cut. Like, this doesn't happen if you're not building a culture that's ready to win. And I said it, I'm telling you, 2024, we're going to win a Super Bowl. No, write it down. I'm telling you guys, 2024, the New York Giants will win a Super Bowl.
That's incredible. But I completely agree with you. I think that especially with Joe Judge coming into this organization, he's completely changed everybody's outlook on things. Like, people are rooting for, like, they want us to do good and they want us to succeed. And that Seahawks game, when we came out on top and won that game, I was like, I don't remember this feeling of serotonin. Like it was just a
I
wave
know.
of
I'm like, what?
happiness.
I can cancel my therapist appointment.
No,
but
really.
it's like we didn't get this rush the last couple years. Like this was a rush. And like the thing is, like, this team is, I mean, we're a few pieces away from really having something special here, because when you have players that are bought in, like, why do you think that the Patriots did so well for so many years? It's because Brady took a pay cut, and because Giselle could afford to do so, and they could pay the good players. It's like, when you have something good, you need to stick with it. So I think we're really, I mean, we're like one wide receiver, one RB2, one CB, and one edge away from destroying this league. Like, I'm not even kidding. And I think that people are too critical, but you know what? This is how it's been about the Giants. The media hates the Giants. We might be one of the most hated teams in the league. At least they have nice things. They even have nice things to say about the Jets. But when it comes to the Giants, no one's rooting for us. Right. No one has ever rooted for us, because we're the team that is the underdogs always. And then when we can pull through, we pull through. So I think everyone needs to be patient. I mean, they expect a winning season. How did you expect a winning season from the crap that we had before? You know, I think that people are hard on Gettleman too, but it's like, you look at Bradbury, you look at Peppers, you look at like, you gotta give the guy a little bit of credit. He fixed the defense. The defense is fixed. Yeah. I mean, we're missing a few players, and this is also without seeing Xavier McKinney's potential. So I'm so excited to see him play next year. I think that he really is, he's about to unleash his full potential, and it's going to be incredible. And especially to have Logan on the team as a mentor is I think that's such a beautiful thing, because it's another thing that we're lacking, and is this was the youngest team in the league that a lot of people forget about. The youngest team in the league, guys. Like, literally, I'm talking the youngest team in the league. So we have no vets. There's no offensive vets. So leave the defense the way it is. Let the vets be the vets, and let them take care of the new guys. It's very important. That culture is something that shouldn't be ignored. It's very important. And why do you think the Bills had so much success? You see them dancing at practice? Like, come on, guys. Yeah. It's very important, and it's not unrelated to success at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was so excited for the Bills this year. I was just like,
because you want to cheer for them. Like, I want to see the team again that people want to cheer for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right by saying, we're only a couple of pieces away, from, a wide receiver, running back, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm curious about your thoughts on like the free agency process right now. A lot of people are talking about Kenny Golladay. Are you on that train? Are you off that train? Are you indifferent? Like, how are you feeling in terms of, wide receiver one?
So I am off the Golladay train.
Really?
I am very much off the Golladay train. I think that Golladay has, and I know he's fantastic. I don't know that he fits our scheme. I think a lot of people think that you can just stick a player in a system and it's just going to work. Right. I don't know that that is the player that, so out of all of them, if the only person that there's two people that I'm a little interested in. So I would be 100% interested in Allen Robinson.
100%.
Pay him. I don't give a shit. Like, just pay the guy.
Yes.
Corey Davis interests me because I think he fits well. I think we have a lot of slot receivers. I think that he could add more dynamic to what we have, because we're just kind of sitting on a pile of slot wide receivers, and I don't know what the plan is there. I think that any of these, here's the catch. Any of these free agents that we sign, we still need to draft a wide receiver is the problem. So it's like, you have to gauge, like, how much do you pay this player that, like, a lot of these free agents are also a little bit older. We're not looking at a lot of young guys. Golladay does have a track record with injuries. I do think that, I've been saying for a while, I do think Golladay will get tagged. He's come out and he said a couple things too, that he's excited to play for Dan Campbell too. So I don't know that he's 100% on the radar. I haven't even really seen much. I don't know where the hype is coming from about him coming, because I really haven't seen anything that he's even getting looked at by us. So, I mean, Curtis Samuel, I know that that's the one that they're talking about now. I know Gettleman does have ties to him, and I get that, but he's another slot wide receiver. We have them, guys, so that's great. And Of course. Is he going to add depth? Yes. And we need depth, for the love of God. We need depth on this team, but we're still going to have to draft a wide receiver. We still need like that. We're missing that star. Like we need, the last time we had a star like that was, unfortunately, makes me want to vomit, is OBJ. I mean, we haven't had a star like that. And before OBJ, we're looking at, I mean, even going back to like we need that like big name. We haven't had a big name, and that's what we really need. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think free agency is a good time to maybe address. I think for edge and for cornerback, I think that those are positions that maybe we can put a Band-Aid over. I think the whole league is in a horrible cap position. The last time the money looked like this was 96. And you and you might have even been born in 96.
And that was the year I was born.
I was going to say, so like doing the math quick in my head, I'm like, I think you might even, so I was born in 93, and like, I think that was the last time money was horrid. Like, and you saw a lot of players, they had to take pay cuts. A lot of people got 1-year contracts. So it's going to be interesting to really see what they do this year. I think that, but they have to address that wide receiver one. It's a problem. Denton needs weapons. You can't rely on Slayton and Ingram, period. They're not reliable. So there needs to be something, and everyone is not a fan of it, but if Pitts is available at 11, I'm taking Pitts all day. I mean, they kept Garrett. So if we didn't keep Garrett, I would maybe be against it. But this is a generational talent. And if we're going to run tight end schemes like the way that we do, then you need to draft Pitts.
Yes. Yeah. No. Oh my God. I'm so happy you said that. Cause like that's been in my brain that I'm like,
he's amazing.
Just get Kyle Pitts. Like why not? Like if he's there, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's so. The problem with a lot of the Giants fans is they want an easy fix. There's no easy fix, and we're guys. Like if we win 9 games next year, that's amazing.
Yes,
seriously. Like I'm not expecting to win. Everyone has too high of expectations. They're so ready to give up on players. Why are you giving up on Daniel Jones? There's literally no reason.
I know.
Like, and in like the article that I'm dropping tonight on my Patreon is I actually went back and looked at it. So Eli Manning, the year that they won the Super Bowl, had 20 interceptions. 20. That was his. So he had 2 years higher than that. One was 2010 and 2013, I want to say. One of those years he had 27. You guys didn't write him off. Why are we writing? We're just writing Daniel Jones off with no weapons. We have a hurt Shep, no Saquon. Slayton sucks this year. Ingram can't catch. Like, I don't know what the deal is. Like, just believe in the fact that this, like, we have to believe in our front office a little bit more. And it's a shame, and it's hard. It's easy for me to, sure. Do I care about Gettleman? No. Get rid of Gettleman. I don't care. But if Joe Judge is there, I feel better. I think that if you want to believe in Joe Judge and you want to believe in Patrick Graham, then do that. But they believe in Daniel Jones, so you can't do both. You either need to be bought into the Joe Judge system or figure it out, because the guy is bought into Daniel Jones, so why are you not? So I don't understand. I don't get that, and it drives me a little bit crazy, and I try to not be argumentative on Twitter, but it's impossible.
Oh my God. It's like, that's kind of what Twitter was made for at this point.
Oh my God, it's a nightmare.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you next, was like about Daniel Jones, because I've been kind of riding the Daniel Jones train since he got drafted. Like, I was like, you know what? Here's a kid. He's going to come out. Eli's still here. You can teach him some stuff, and I think it was you that retweeted a picture, and it was like Daniel Jones running, and then like his offensive line was just in a straight line and like nowhere near him, not blocking anybody. And I'm like, that, like, you can't just write off this kid. I mean, should he have done better last year? Absolutely. I think that it would have been a lot better for him in terms of his career if he did good this season. But then he ended up getting hurt, and then it was like all this other factors happened. And now we have a new offensive line coach. That was another thing too. Joe Judge fires this guy, a new guy comes in, this whole scheme's messed up.
And we're not keeping him. It's like confusing.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the chemistry there. You're like, I don't want to get attached to this guy because I know he's leaving and like all that stuff. So I want to, I know that you are aboard the Daniel Jones train.
Yeah.
And you kind of went into it a little bit, but I'm not writing this kid off yet, because I really don't think we've seen his full potential yet.
No,
you know?
of course not. And you know what? I think a lot of people forget. And it's so funny because I am not a big Tua fan. I don't think that Tua is going to end up having like a ton of success in this league. And I think that, and people's argument to me is that it was his rookie season. Okay, great.
Right.
That's fine. But you're also hating on Daniel Jones, who you think's rookie season was last year. You have to carry it. Oh, guys, like a rookie season is 16 full games. So if you stop where his rookie season would have stopped, let's think. So this would have been like halfway through this season eventually. He started playing better. You guys are driving me crazy. Like that is when his turnovers started going down. This is when he's protecting the ball. Daniel Jones knows he needs to do better. If Daniel Jones plays like that next year, am I pissed? Yeah, of course I'm pissed. But I think that it's not fair to judge him in a Jason Garrett system with no weapons. That's crazy. I think that that's actually completely unfair. I mean, for people to say that Daniel Jones sucks, no, he doesn't. There's a reason why they drafted him. If you go back and watch his Duke film, he's a very capable quarterback. And you know what? To think that it's so silly to me because if you look at Eli Manning, right? Guys, they drafted him for a reason. This is like, he couldn't be more. He's Eli Manning with the ability to rush.
Yes.
He can run. Guys, he can run. Like
87 yards.
Thank you. You know mobile quarterbacks that everyone gets so excited about? He's better than them.
He's here.
Just get someone to throw the ball to. Like, this is a franchise quarterback. Okay. So yes, next year, if he does not protect the ball, I'm out. It's cool. And I will be out. And I people think I'm being biased and I am obsessed. Yes, I'm obsessed with Daniel Jones because I think that someone needs to gas him because he needs to have the opportunity to do well. His last 2 games were his best 2 games he's played, and people won't realize it because of the score, because of the performances. His footwork got better. His movement got better. This is a guy that he just, people need to back off. He needs to give him a chance. That wasn't even his sophomore year. It's because you have to have 16 games. That's a rookie year.
Yeah, and if you think about it,
and Eli's coming back.
And you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna mentor Daniel. Like that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna come here. He's gonna show him some more stuff. And
you get him a wide receiver 1 or a tight end that can catch, and you make
tight end that can catch.
Figure it out. Yeah, a tight end that can catch. 35 points. Ingram lost. Slayton lost 11. That's the difference between a 6-10 score and winning 8 games. That's a problem. That's a really, really big problem. And you can't blame Daniel. And you know what? Yes, Daniel has had inaccuracies. That Tampa game was disgusting. I mean, like, it was a horrid game for him, and I get that. But, he doesn't get enough credit, and he should get more credit, especially imagine having this many haters. And this is what Eli dealt with. I mean, the year that he won the Super Bowl in 2007, people were saying you'll never be like your brother. I mean, you should see the way the fans treated them. So you have to give guys like this a chance. And you know what? He's in a situation where he could really be like one of those Cinderella stories. And I hope for that for him. And you know what? If he's a mediocre quarterback, that's fine. Eli was mediocre in 2007 until he got to the playoffs. And then we won the freaking Super Bowl. So I don't want to hear it from everyone. I won't stand for the Daniel Jones slander this year. I think that he didn't have an off season last year. They gave him a new coaching staff. I mean, you got to cut the kid some. It's so funny because they'll cut Baker Mayfield slack, but we won't cut Daniel Jones slack when like his scenario is essentially far worse. So I don't know. It's, everyone gets crazy and they want someone to blame. And when you watch games, it's very easy to just watch the quarterback. And I understand that. but you have to look at the big picture. The O-line sucked.
It was so bad.
He's getting hit. Awful. And you have to at some point get nervous for your health too. It's like he's getting tackled on every single play. It's crazy. And that picture too, he ended up completing that pass. The kid is good.
Just goes to show. It just goes to show. So we're saying it right now, Stephie and I, no more Daniel Jones slander.
No more. I'm done. I'm sick of you. And I'm going to cut this clip tomorrow.
I just tossed my pen. I just got so mad. I just threw my pen across the room.
I have to hold one or I start like touching it.
I know. That's what I don't have it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm 100% with you. give this team another year. I'm really excited to see how Joe Judge deals with a second year as a head coach and all this other stuff that's going on. But we talked about the Giants for a long time, and I kind of want to talk about all this other stuff that's going on as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Including one of the biggest news of this week was that the Texans released JJ Watt. And it was a mutual thing and like all this stuff. So what do you think, just like in terms of where you think he's going to land and things like that? And also like things are going on in Houston right now that are just preposterous. It's just like ridiculous.
At least Giants fans can be positive. We will not be worse than the Texans next year.
Yes.
The Texans don't stand a damn chance next year. No. So first of all, I don't think it was mutual. I think that JJ 100% was like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm done. I'm sick of you guys. I kind of knew that was coming from that, that one video where he like slapped Watson's butt and he was like, I'm sorry, we couldn't do it for you guys.
Yeah.
And I knew from that second, I'm like, something's going to happen with these two because you know what? They both are too aware. I think that it's a shame that the Texans, you have these really great players and obviously they're very unhappy. I think that him to the Steelers is awesome. I think that would be so cool to play with his brothers. He would definitely take a pay cut to do so. I don't like to I think he's probably looking to go somewhere kind of like Watson is that's ready to win.
Right.
So I think that keep in mind his wife does play for a Chicago soccer team. I think that really the Steelers is a good option. I think that anywhere he goes, he's ready to be on a team that's going to perform. Is the Bills shocking? Not really. So is he coming to the Giants? No, guys, we can't pay him.
Yeah, we don't have
he costs too much money. If he doesn't go play with his brothers, he wants cash. He's a good football player. So I think it's interesting though. I saw the news and it definitely wasn't the most shocking thing I've seen this offseason. But it's a little surprising. I think that it kind of also justifies and backs up the fact that Watson's going somewhere. So is everyone that thinks that he's not, he's going somewhere. So
yeah, absolutely. It's so, the thing is that like that's one of the things I love about the off season is like some of this stuff just drops and you're like, oh my god, like now everybody just went insane on Twitter. They're like, he's gonna go here, he's gonna go here, he's gonna go here. And like a lot of people were also saying like he might end up at the Buccaneers, which would probably just break my heart because
I'm seeing OBA wants to go there. Oh my god.
But yeah, I think JJ is a great defensive player. To be quite honest, I'd love to see him play with his brothers and
so cool.
It would be so cool. All three of them on one team is just like bonkers. And my brother is a Steelers fan himself, and he's been talking about, it's very, very random in our family. My brother's a Steelers fan, and he was like, I want JJ on our team. And throughout this whole season, and I was like, you're not gonna get him. You're not gonna get him. Now all of a sudden he's
realistic, like, right?
Now it's very, very possible. And even I think like minutes after the story dropped, I went on Instagram and clicked JJ's like Instagram story, and he was already with his brothers, like working out. And I was like, this is way too fast. His
brother did like the Khmer thing, like
yes,
you see that? Yeah, he's like Khmer. I think he's going to the Steelers. I think that'd be so cool too. And you know what? Steelers can afford it. I think that, I'm all in. I think that the Steelers are going to suck next year, so I don't really care. So I think that would be awesome, though, for them. Good for them. I mean, they've always had a good defense. I mean, since we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Name a year to me that the Steelers defense was bad.
Like never.
In eternity, never. So I think that would be a really cool place for him.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like with the situation in Houston and Deshaun Watson and all that stuff, a lot of people were like, oh, Deshaun and JJ are going to end up in the same place. And I'm like, not necessarily. I don't think that is necessarily true. What do you think is going to go on with Deshaun? Because right now they're even saying like the Jets are not even a spot for him anymore. And he's looking in Denver and all this stuff. Like, do you have an idea of where he would maybe perform best or even end up in the long run?
So I feel pretty strongly about this. I think that wherever Watson goes, they need to have a collateral at quarterback. I think that it's impossible for them to trade somewhere that doesn't have a quarterback to offer them. So unless they're getting a 3rd round pick, which I don't think Watson's going to the Jets. Guys, ready? So Watson wants to go to a winning team as much as the Jets think that they're going to be a winning team. They will not have a winning record next year. It's not going to happen. You don't get a new coach and just all of a sudden get fantastic. So, right. And look at the Giants. Yes, we have a great coach. And did we have a winning record? No, it takes years. So I don't think that Watson wants to go there. I think that Watson has that part in his contract where he can say, if he doesn't think that it's best for his future, he can say, I'm not getting traded there. So I think the Dolphins is the best option for him. I think that I like him at the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins is in the best scenario. I don't have a lot of faith in Tua, but I think that maybe Tua could go to a new system. I don't like how they pulled Tua out of games, put Fitz in, all this crap. And I think that they could get their pick back too, because the Dolphins do have their 1st round pick. So I think that the Dolphins is the most realistic option. I like him in Denver. I just don't know what they could offer to get him there. Right, I think so I'm not understanding that trade or where, like, I don't know. That one I'm not fully understanding that. I think a great place for Watson is the Colts, but they're not gonna trade within the conference, the division like that. So I think that Miami is, for me, I'm riding that Miami train. I think that and I wrote an article about Watson. I didn't even include Miami because it didn't even come to my mind. Because I think 49ers would be beautiful for him. I like the Bears for him. But I don't think either of those options are really going to happen. I think I like the Patriots for him as well. But those are some options. I don't know if they're realistic. I just like him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel you. And he is like the main thing right now that it's like, where's he going to go? Is he going to here? But I that's interesting. I didn't think about Miami either. I mean, I know people were talking about it, but it does seem like a pretty solid fit. And then that would make that division a little bit more interesting as well in terms of the Bills getting, on the up and up and, the Patriots being in a rebuild and stuff like that. It can make things really interesting. And the Dolphins were not bad this year, apart from their quarterbacks going in and out.
They're a few pieces away. I mean, I think they could afford it. So I think it'll be good. I think that hopefully wherever Watson goes, I hope he just gets the best opportunity, because I don't want to see him turn to this diva where he's like wanting to switch teams. And it's like, because, Watson's he has the capability to be the best quarterback in this league. I think that he's been very limited. And I think it must be frustrating over in the Texans. The Texans are one of those teams where it's like, you never really get there, and then it's just like being on the Bengals. It's like annoying. It has to be annoying at some point when you're like a player that's been on this team for years. I mean, he was on the team JJ Watson was on the team for 10 years, guys, with nothing to show. What is there to show from being on the Texans for 10 years? Nothing. So it's frustrating. I would want to leave too. I'd say, get me out of here.
Yeah, it's Houston is just falling apart right now. Like, they are completely in ruins. I don't see them doing anything at all next year. It's just, apart from like their stars wanting to leave, there's also all that internal stuff going on in their offices and like all that stuff. Exactly. But yeah, it's gonna get crazy. And another thing,
why? And I love the offseason. I think it's gonna be fun because, and I tweeted when the Stafford trade went through, is like, be thankful if you have a quarterback that's set. Like, as a Giants fan, I'm pumped. We don't have to deal with this crap. Like, be thankful that you don't have to give up picks, that you don't have to worry about it, because I mean, even you look what's happening in Philadelphia. They're not going to get rid of Wentz. They think they're getting rid of Wentz for like 2 first picks. Listen, this is not 2017 Wentz. This is a poor man's Wentz, guys. Right. Like, we are not getting rid of Wentz for that cheap. So be thankful if you have a franchise that's sturdy. Be thankful that they're not, even Miami. I mean, Miami's still, if they do that trade, I think it's not going to hurt them. So that's one team that I will give the graces to. But to be the Broncos, to be the Colts, to be the Eagles, to be the Cowboys. I mean, these are franchises that are in a weird situation. Very good.
And I want to talk about Philadelphia for a second, because they are another one.
God damn, they're screwed.
Oh my God. Between their GM being the worst human being on the planet, and then, basically saying like, hey, all right, it's either Doug or Carson. And they were like, all right, Doug Peterson, you're out of here. We're going to keep Carson. And then Carson was just like, no, I still want to leave. And then it's like, okay, what are you going to get for him though? He hasn't performed well at all. And it wasn't even him that won that Super Bowl. It was Nick Foles, who is a whole other story, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And then they're dealing with Jalen Hurts. Now they have Jalen Hurts, who had come out and shown that he's got potential and he could be a really great player. But just not even their quarterback situation. Their whole team are just old men.
Yes, and no one wants to be there. Everyone's old. I mean, the staff is kind of a nightmare. I mean,
oh my God,
it's not looking good. I mean, I think that also the Eagles staff now is I think I was listening. I like the NFL radio on XM. If you guys ever get a chance to listen, I think they're great. Moving the Chains is awesome, phenomenal information. But they're the youngest, most unexperienced coaching staff. So you take that with not knowing who. I think they're going to get stuck with Wentz, to be quite honest. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they get stuck with him. I think he'll either go to the Bears or the Colts are not going to give up 2 first-round picks.
No way. No way.
Are you kidding? The Colts don't even have that good of a position. It would just be, the whole thing is stupid. I mean, there are 2 first-round picks for Carson Wentz, who's playing like Josh Rosen. Give me a break. That was a little mean. He's a little bit better than Josh Rosen, but come on. You're not getting 2 first-round picks for, if he was 2017, yeah, sure, 2 first. You're not getting 2 first, especially with his attitude. He has an attitude problem.
Absolutely.
He couldn't have been. I think people underplay this, and it's so funny because I think that if it was any other player, it would get looked at more. He showed up in a sweatsuit.
Yes!
A sweatsuit.
Not even dressed.
You know, if Daniel Jones did that, it would be off with his head.
Oh my God.
I was so pissed.
Oh my God. The thing was, too, when I saw that, I was like, this guy did not have the audacity to come out here not in pads. Who is this man? Who does he think he is?
Who was he talking to?
I was perplexed.
I was so annoyed by that. And that's when I had respect for Carson Wentz, but he lost all my respect that game. I think that to come out and to not even suit up, you think you're better than this team that you don't need to suit up?
No.
And maybe that's why they put Sudfeld in, because your other quarterback doesn't have his gear on. That's crazy. That's so inappropriate to me. It's so inappropriate. It's so unnecessary.
And he's left and right, just going out here he's being very petty and passive aggressive about things. And I'm like, you don't have any right to do that. Yeah, sure, maybe when you first came in here, you were showing some real potential. They paid you all of that money very prematurely, in my opinion. I don't know why they gave him all of that money when he hadn't even completed a full season yet.
Right.
He was getting hurt every single year. And I mean, for us as Giants fans, this kind of works for us.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm cool with what's
I'm
going
cool
on.
with it.
And I'm a Nick Foles stan. So I think what they did with him is disrespectful. I went to college with him. He's one of the nicest people I ever met.
Really?
Yeah, I did. So he was a junior when I was a freshman, right before he entered the draft. I forget if he went junior or senior year, but he's one of the coolest people. His sister is a sweetheart. She went to college with me too. But
oh my God.
I hate the way that they ended that relationship. I think that the whole thing was just bizarre. So the Eagles they got to pull it together. But for these Eagles fans that think that they're going to come in, I don't know what you guys are so excited about.
There's nothing to be excited about.
It's scary over there. I feel bad almost. And as much as we like to trash talk each other, it's I don't want any of these teams to actually do horrific.
Right.
I don't root for people to do bad. I want to see good football. I don't want to see the NFC East is a joke, right? And what was the biggest joke? If you could name the biggest joke of this entire season, it's the NFC East. And people will tell you that. And I don't want that. I want good football. Yes. I want to watch good football. I don't want to watch crappy games. I'm sick of it. So obviously we want to see people be competitive, but they're not they're not there and they're not going to be there for a little bit. I think that they really screwed themselves. I almost think that they should have kept Doug. I think that was pretty insulting. I think that, yes, was he out of control? Was he a little unhinged? Was he, yes, you could say all these things about him. He won you a Super Bowl. So no, you guys need to be a little bit more respectful. I think that it was a little insulting. I think that just because I think Wentz probably had a little bit more to do with that than we maybe think. So the Eagles are in a really bad place.
Yeah, and then the whole thing that's so funny is that they have a statue of that man.
Oh my God, and
a backup quarterback.
It kills me. I love it.
I think that it is the funniest thing ever, and that's going to be up there for forever. And you're just going to be like, okay, well, that guy, he was a backup quarterback, and then he left right after. They didn't even have like the decency to keep him around. And then the other guy, they fired him. And I'm like, after they won him a Super Bowl, he's done.
I think Doug's an idiot. Like, it's fine, but like, you can't just fire him like that. I think it was very unprecedented. It was just, it's too much. I think that they have to, they're one of those teams that really need to hone it in. Like, they need to pull it together and figure out what they need to do.
Yeah.
Robert Ertz over here, please. Send Ertz my way. I'm down.
I know. That's what I was just going to say. They're talking about trading Ertz as well. I'll take Ertz in a heartbeat.
Bring Ertz's
heartbeat. Oh my God, I would love to have that man. I think
that they'll probably, if they do get a trade, I think it'll probably include both of them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's definitely gonna be a package deal because like they're boys, like they're pals. They want to stick together, and if you can get Carson and Zach Ertz, I mean, the chemistry there works, so why not keep them together? So this offseason is already just
so fun.
It's so much fun. But so before we wrap everything up for this interview, I have one more question for you, and I kind of want to know, for myself as well. How do you survive no football on Sundays? Like, what do you do? Because as a person like who every single week, you wake up Sunday and you're like, all right, you got to get ready, gonna get all my stuff together so that by 1 o'clock I'm ready to sit down. What are your tips and tricks kind of to like make your way through a no NFL Sunday?
Yeah, it's brutal. I think that my biggest thing has been focusing on the rookies and focusing on the film and I do a lot of mock drafts now. I do a lot of my own power rankings. I think having dynasty drafts has been helping me, but really, if you guys didn't watch the Senior Bowl, I really encourage you to do so. I think that it was beautifully done this year. I think it was seriously marvelous. It was nice. You can kind of see the players. I just sat there and watched it and kind of wrote down names. So as I'm going back and watching film, I'm trying to see like what my thoughts were compared to their season long. But with me, I have school, so I study as much as I can on Sundays, but it's brutal, man. It's like and it's so funny I call you man. Look at how the industry has built us talk, right? Like,
I know,
but it's so I'm so used to it. But yeah, really, I think that focusing on the postseason and just trying to stay out of the drama is a big thing, and it's hard because these free agents, it's everyone's testy. We're all nervous, and we want to know where's Allen Robinson going.
Yeah,
and I get that, and I think that that's my biggest thing is really just focusing on the free agents. I kind of stay away from them though. I'm not high on the free agent class. Nothing about it excites me too much. There's a couple of cornerbacks that I'm kind of into, but I think that it's really about the rookies and knowing what's coming in, because it's easy to get upset during the draft. And this is a mistake that I've made in the past. And now that I have my own platform and I'm more involved in the industry, is I'm trying to really make sure I watch the film and I watch these games and I know these players, because it's very easy to get upset when a team drafts a player. And I get that. Absolutely. And I understand it, but you have to realize we're in a type of league and a type of, football now where there's players that can go in the third. Look at what the Giants did this season. I mean, we had how many players even undrafted? You look at Carter Coughlin, you look at Cam Brown. I mean, you look at even Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick. These are guys that ended up being phenomenal. So know your players and watch the film, watch the games. There's a lot of really good games. And I will be honest, I don't like college football. I have a really hard time watching it. I don't know what it is. So it's hard for me to watch it, and the Senior Bowl really was phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. But it's hard for me to watch college games, but I'm getting into it, and it's nice when you kind of know the players and kind of can look at where you think they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Sundays are gonna be,
they're gonna be brutal.
Bit depressing.
Tell each other right.
It's sad because like yesterday I was just like it was like 1:15 or so, and I was like, wow, we would have been like 10 minutes into the
nowwhat.com.
Yeah.
What do I do?
It's tough, but I think there's so much news. The thing with the NFL is that it never stops, really. So there's gonna be breaking news left and right. Some of these guys are gonna get to different teams.
Like, things are gonna happen. You just gotta calm down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not the same. The off season is definitely not the same. But Stephie, I really appreciate you coming on and talking all this stuff with me and sharing your story with everybody. So before we go, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you on Twitter and so on and so forth, and kind of the projects that you're working on?
Yeah, for sure. So you guys can find me at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's. And right now I'm doing a bunch of stuff. After this, I'm going to finally record my video about Saquon and his injury. So look out for that. I'm posting stuff on my Patreon. If you are a Giants fan, that's where I'll be doing most of my Giants work. As a broke medical student and not having enough time, it kind of encourages me. It's very cheap. The cheapest subscription's like $2 a month. And then $5 gets you everything. I'm going to do like film breakdowns and a bunch of stuff over there. And then you guys can find my fantasy site at joineourcircle_fantasyintervention.com. I have weekly rehab reports. So since it's the off season, I can't give the injuries out. I'm kind of breaking down different injuries. So
nice.
last week I did, what did I do last week? Oh, turf toe. And then this week, I think I'm going to go into ACL. So I'm going to kind of break down like what the myths are of it a little bit and kind of give a little bit more information, have some cool guests on. Actually, I'm going to do in a couple weeks, I was going to reach out to you. I want to do like a girl show. I'm just going to have like a couple girls from the industry on.
Yeah, 100%.
My normal show. And it'll be cool. I want to get people from different like teams and different platforms. So I'm trying to get involved as much as I can, make connections this off season. But yeah, and then even our YouTube channel, you guys can find a lot of my work. I do shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm all over the place these days. So you guys, I'm trying to keep it posted on my Twitter, but things get crazy. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's is the best place to find me. And I appreciate you so much for having me on.
Of course.
Work, and I love having any kind of female connection that you can make in this industry. And my thing is like, anytime I see a female follow me, that's it. I follow back. I don't care. I don't care. And I just follow back because it's like women have to support each other in this industry. And I hate seeing when there's like the cattiness and whatever. It's like, I support any female that wants to go into sports. I have their back. It's like, it's not easy. And so I appreciate this a lot because my biggest thing coming into this was I wanted to make sports easy for females. I wanted to not be intimidating. I decided that when I did start growing a following, I wanted to be inviting,
Absolutely. And I love that. And that's part of the reason why I followed you in the first place. Cause I was just like, a woman who's talking about the Giants. Oh my God. Thank goodness I found one. But Stephie, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And everybody, we're going to go back to our regular scheduled podcast programming. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Stephie. I know I did, and like we were saying, that there's going to be some more stuff in the future that we'll be working on together, so make sure that you look out for that, especially on, our social media pages, because that's where a lot of our updates are from. So before we get into our segments for today's show, we have another affiliate read for something that I actually personally use. So I know that one of the best decisions that I've ever made is starting this podcast. And I'm sure some of you have thought about starting your own podcast as well. But a lot of people just don't know where to start, and that's where Buzzsprout comes in. Buzzsprout is the best and easiest way to start your own professional podcast, and they've already helped over 100,000 people, including myself, launch their very own podcast. So it's really easy to use. They get your podcast on every major podcasting platform. They provide you with your own podcasting website, audio players to drop in other websites, detailed analytics, tools to promote your episodes, so on and so forth. And Buzzsprout also publishes new blog posts, podcast episodes, and YouTube videos every week, so you know that you are getting information from people who have immersed themselves in the podcasting world. So to start your very own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card. That's not a joke. A free $20 Amazon gift card. Click the link in the show notes and Buzzsprout will know that you were sent by me, the girl who talks sports, and as usual, help support our show. So Buzzsprout is the easiest way to start a podcast. So make sure that you click those links for both Buzzsprout and Instacart for their respective things. So let's get into our segments for today's show and obviously start off with our first segment on the show and my favorite segment on the show, Tea Time. So, Tea Time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into the hot, steamy gossip of the sports world, and this week, as usual, got some spiciness going on. So actually, this week's tea has to do with someone who used to be an NFL player and isn't anymore, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard about this already, but I heard about it today, and I was like, time to delve into this hot, steamy tea. So, if you guys haven't heard about Mr. Pacman Jones, I will tell you all about him. So, Pacman Jones, Adam Pacman Jones, he used to play in the league. He played for the Bengals. He is no longer in the league. I believe he's around 37 years old now. He was arrested. And I know we always go deep into these, troubles with the law because they are very spicy in terms of the tea. So, Pacman Jones was involved in a bar fight, an Ohio bar brawl, if you will. So there's this video that came out, and so I kind of got two sides of this story, which is very interesting. So I'll tell you the side I heard first. And the side I heard first was that Pacman Jones was at this bar, and he attacked a bouncer with a chair. And I was like, oh, Jesus. And then I saw the video of it, and when I tell you chairs were flying all over the place. It was bonkers. There was just like bar stools and like actual just like regular chairs just flying through the air and all this stuff. It was pretty brutal. And to be quite honest, when stuff comes from like things like TMZ Sports, I like to take those with a little grain of salt because a lot of times you don't have all of the information, right? So I was like, okay, this doesn't look very good. And they were saying that he and his friends had left the bar and were trying to get back in, and that there was some disagreement between him and the bouncer. He was trying to get back into the bar. They weren't letting him back into the bar, and this fight commenced. However, and then also they were like, he knocked the security guard out. He kicked him in the head several times, and then he was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor assault. So I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is wild, like, okay. And things like this, we have gone over so many times, like, people getting into bar fights and getting arrested and all that stuff. And then, he gets out on bail, or bonds, or whatever, you do to get out of jail, and he goes on the Pat McAfee show. And Pat McAfee is, first of all, I think he's hilarious. I think that his radio, podcast, everything that goes on there is so funny. So he goes on the Pat McAfee show and kind of gives more of his side of the story. And this is what Pacman Jones had to say, was that the fight was not ever between him and the bouncer. The fight was between two bouncers of rival bars, which, can we just talk about something for a second? I had no idea rival bars were a thing. Like, do bars, like, on the same block hate each other? Because I haven't been to a bar in over a year at this point in time due to COVID, but where I go, where I'm from is like, I go to these two bars a lot of the times and they're like right across the street from each other. And I don't know if they're like rivals. It's like very confusing. So anyway, he's talking about these rival bar bouncers. And Also, the fact that he wanted to make sure that people knew he was not intoxicated. He was like, I don't drink in public. I don't want people to assume things, yada, 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 which is fair. But he said he wasn't intoxicated. And then, like, basically he was saying, like, all this stuff that was coming out about with this story wasn't true. And also, he was the only one that was arrested. And I was like, this seems very fishy. This whole thing is just, like, very strange. So maybe I do think that because there is video showing him in this fight, I think that he was trying to like break up the fight or something, and he took it to an extreme of taking a chair and like chucking it at another bouncer or whatever. And maybe like I don't know. That's like this whole thing seems like there's a lot of missing pieces. Maybe I didn't read the whole story, maybe I didn't see enough, maybe not enough has come out. But between what Pacman's got to say and what, another article says about what happened versus the video that we're looking at, there's a lot of things going on here. And I was like, well, what a perfect way to start off our tea time for season 3 to say we have no idea what's going on. It's very just like, I don't know. So 2 sides of the story here on Tea Time. I'll let you guys decide. You guys can look up the video and see. There was a couple times I like gasped because I'm serious. It's a bit brutal. So, who knows? Who knows what happens at this point? But one of my favorite things is tea time of the off season, because people get into some stuff even when they're not in the league anymore and just provide us, people like us, with just the hot steamy tea. Let's pour us a glass. So that's our tea time for this week, which is, again, I'll let you guys decide what you think may or may not have happened with Mr. Pacman Jones. And I want to get into our next segment on the show, and I kind of like don't know what I want to say about this yet. I'm just going to go with it because it's very strange. And this week on our Let's Talk About It segment, we're going to talk about LeBron James as a football player. Yeah, it's very, very strange. So we're in the off season, right? Sometimes we have some slow news days. Sometimes we don't know what we're focusing on, and there's a lot of times we're like, okay, let's just start pulling stuff out of the air and making stories, because at this point, we need to fiend for some sort of football information. And we have the draft, we got mock drafts and free agency, all that good stuff is going on now. But this I saw and I was like, what an interesting thing to talk about. So basically what happened was LeBron James came out and said, during the 2011 NBA lockout, LeBron James was offered 2 tryouts in the NFL. He was offered a tryout by the Dallas Cowboys, and then he was later sent a jersey and a tryout by the Seattle Seahawks. Very interesting stuff. I was like, okay. And then what caught my attention the most about this, though, was that LeBron James then said, I would have been one of the best football players ever. And I was like, okay, let's just think about this for a second, because LeBron James, while he is an excellent basketball player, I can't take that away from him. He, has done amazing things. And also he is 6'9", which we learned recently in a recent episode when we were talking about the woman who was ejected from the game because LeBron James said some stuff to her and she said some stuff to him. 6'9", which is rather large. And I think some people were saying he'd be a really good tight end, which maybe he would have been. Maybe. I think maybe we have to think about the fact that maybe not. This is all up in the air. This is all hypothetical stuff. LeBron James as a football player, I can't picture it. I can't see him. I mean, again, he's a great athlete. We've seen him play basketball and do some incredible things. He has several championships at this point in time. And, there's the argument between him and Michael Jordan being one of the best basketball players of all time. That year, I just want to throw out a fun little fun fact. That year of the NBA lockout, he was on the Miami Heat and they lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. I just wanted to throw that out there. But he says that he would have made the team and been a great football player. And to be quite honest, this whole thing is kind of giving me Tebow vibes. Tebow saying he was going to be a fantastic baseball player and he plays minor leagues for the Mets. we're like, okay, Tebow, you can do whatever you want to do. You do you, man, but like you're not a fantastic baseball player. While I think that LeBron could, again, great athlete, probably could have been pretty good just in terms of his size in the NFL. Playing basketball and playing football are two very different things, and I think LeBron played football in like high school, but you were drafted into the NBA for a reason, which means that you were probably a better basketball player, drafted out of high school. You're a better basketball player than you are a football player, and that's fine. That's totally chill. But just to come out and say, like, you're the greatest at basketball and also that you would have been the greatest at football as well, maybe that's true. But the only, if we're going to compare right now, which I feel like people are going to come at me because of this debate between him and Michael Jordan did play in 2 sports leagues. Let's just throw that out there. Michael Jordan played baseball. And if you guys watched the Last Dance documentary, we saw him do some great things as a baseball player as well. So, coulda, woulda, shoulda LeBron, you could have had a great football. Who knows? You could have been fantastic. I have no evidence whatsoever that you could have come out into the football world and been a great tight end, wide receiver, whatever it is that you end up being. But you didn't. And now we'll never know. Unless you, as a 36, 37-year-old want to jump into the NFL, go for it. But at this point, you're a basketball athlete. You're a fantastic basketball athlete, and I will never take that away from you. But it's a whole what-if situation. We'll never know if LeBron would have been a good football player or not. Okay. I feel like a lot of people are going to come at me for that because there's a huge, that whole debate thing. I picked Michael Jordan every time, and we've talked about the Space Jams and all that stuff, and I've always picked Michael Jordan. And also, if you guys haven't watched The Last Dance, which has come out almost a year ago at this point, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It is fantastic to watch. Even if you're not into basketball, just the story of Michael Jordan is so good. Quick plug. Okay. Let's end off our show, right? So let's get into our feel-good story of the week. And this week is a quite nice, quite light, quite gentle. It's just happiness, Krieger and Ashlyn Harris, who are both members of the Orlando Pride soccer team and were part of the national women's soccer team, they are defending World Cup champions at this point in time. They adopted their first child. They adopted a little baby girl. They named her Sloan, and she's so cute. And Allie and Ashlyn are actually married. They got married back in December of 2019. So I just thought this was a very nice thing, and they've always talked about adopting and this and that, and I guess they used a surrogate, and they have a beautiful baby girl named Sloan now, and she's gorgeous. She's so cute. They posted these pictures of the 3 of them together, and I was like, oh, what a lovely little family, and it's just very, very sweet. And both of these women are fantastic soccer players. Ashlyn Harris, I remember way back when they won the championship, when they won the World Cup, like her Instagram story was absolute perfection, and everything about it was just so great. She had all these girls just running out here, women, athletes just running around doing all this stuff and drinking champagne and going crazy, and it's just, the content was chef's kiss. I love it so much. So I just want to congratulations to Allie Krieger and Ashley Harris for adopting their little baby girl, and it's just, we love to see that, and we love babies, and we love puppies, and we love just cute things in general. I can't get over it. I can't ever get over it. So that's our feel-good story of the week, and friends, that is going to do it for our show this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe on all podcasting platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports, and follow us on all social media platforms. Twitter and Instagram, but I mean all. At TGWTS Podcast, and I hope that you all have a fun, fantastic, sports-filled day, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye!